The air in Revival Facility Alpha was stale and cold when Nancy Williams took her first breath in 327 years. Her eyes opened slowly, adjusting to the dim blue emergency lights. Her pod had opened first, as programmed. As lead engineer, she needed to check systems before the others woke up. Nancy's legs were weak as she stood. Her muscles remembered their purpose after a few unsteady steps. The cryo-sleep technology had worked perfectly. She felt like she had only been asleep for a night, though centuries had passed. "System status," she said, her voice cracking from disuse. The facility's AI responded immediately. "Welcome back. Engineer Williams, all systems functional. Earth date is April 15th, 2752. Nancy walked to the main control panel. Her fingers moved across the screen, checking data that had accumulated during humanity's long sleep. What she saw made her gasp. "Guardian, explain defense log entries. There are thousands." The AI's voice was calm. "During human dormancy, this facility recorded 1,1032 attempts at orbital breach by unknown vessels. Automated defense systems repelled all attempts. Additionally, communication systems maintained regular broadcasts to simulate continued human presence." Nancy frowned. "Show me the last breach attempt." The screen displayed footage from just 3 months ago. Strange ships approaching Earth, retreated quickly when defense satellites activated. "They think we're still active," Nancy whispered. "They never knew we were sleeping." She moved to the revival controls and began the sequence to wake Kevin Miller, the coordination officer. His pod was across the room, and she watched as the frost melted from the glass. His eyes opened a few minutes later, confused at first, then focusing on Nancy. "Did it work?" he asked, sitting up slowly. "Better than we hoped," Nancy replied, helping him stand. "The system kept us safe for over 3 centuries, and apparently, we've had visitors." Kevin looked at the screens, taking in the information. "So the great solar flare didn't kill us after all. Our ancestors' plan worked." They worked together, waking Susan Clark next. As the facility's astrophysicist, they needed her expertise to understand what was happening beyond Earth's atmosphere. Susan recovered quickly from cryo-sleep, immediately moving to the observatory controls. "The defense systems logged everything," she said, her voice filled with wonder. "We have data on dozens of alien civilizations that came to check if we were really here." The three stood in silence, watching the display showing Earth from orbit. The planet had changed during their sleep. Cities were now covered by forests and new waterways cut through what had once been urban centers. Nature had reclaimed the surface, but beneath the green growth lay humanity's sleeping technology. "Begin worldwide revival," Kevin ordered the system. Similar facilities around the globe started their wake-up sequences. Hundreds, then thousands of humans would soon awake from their long sleep. "What about the orbital platforms?" Susan asked, pointing to blinking dots on the display. "They're still active." Nancy pulled up the status reports. The automated systems didn't just maintain them, they improved them. Using designs left in the database, the construction drones have been building and upgrading for centuries. Kevin looked surprised. "So we're more advanced now than when we went to sleep?" "Much more," Nancy confirmed. "The AIs continued our work while we slept. They've developed technology we only dreamed about before the flare." The main door to the facility opened with a hiss. More people had awakened in the adjacent chambers and were making their way to the control room. Among them was Frank Simmons, their communication specialist. "The planetary network is coming back online," Frank announced as he entered. "Other facilities are reporting successful revivals. Humanity is waking up all over the world." Outside the facility, sunrise painted the sky in shades of orange and pink. Through the viewports, they could see a world transformed. Trees grew where streets had once been. Animals roamed freely across lands that used to hold bustling cities. "We should go outside," Nancy suggested. "See what home looks like now." The group prepared for their first journey onto the surface of Earth in centuries. They wore simple protective suits, unsure what they might encounter. As the outer doors opened, sunlight flooded in. They stepped out onto a hillside covered in wildflowers. In the distance, the skeleton of an old city peeked through the forest canopy. "It's beautiful," Susan whispered. Their moment of peace was interrupted by an alert from Susan's handheld scanner. She studied it with growing concern. "We have movement at the edge of the solar system," she reported. "A large vessel just entered." "Scanner range, it's not one of ours." Kevin activated his communication link. "Send the data to all awakened facilities. We need to bring our defenses to full alert." Nancy looked at the sky, now bright blue and seemingly peaceful. "They've been watching us, thinking they were seeing our normal activities. Now they'll see the real thing." By mid-afternoon, revival efforts were well underway worldwide. Reports came in from facilities on every continent. Humanity was returning, finding a world healed from the wounds of their past civilization. In the command center, now bustling with awakened personnel, Nancy examined the designs the AI had developed during their sleep. Starships, defense systems, and technology beyond what they had dreamed possible before the flare. "Our ancestors left the AIs with clear instructions," she told the others. "Protect Earth, advance our technology, prepare for our return." They did exactly that. Susan's scanner beeped again. The alien vessel had changed course and was now heading directly toward Earth. "They noticed the change in our activity patterns," Susan said. "They know something's different." Kevin stood tall, looking at the assembled team of revived humans. "Then let's make our message clear. Humanity isn't extinct or hiding. We just took a nap and now we're back." Nancy nodded, feeling a mix of excitement and determination. "And this time we're ready for whatever the universe throws at us." As night fell on their first day awake, the team watched the distant stars from the facility's observation deck. Somewhere out there, word was spreading across alien civilizations. The sleeping giants of Earth were stirring. Humanity's long absence was over. Their return to the galactic stage had begun. 3 months passed since humanity's awakening. The revival efforts continued across the globe as people adapted to their new reality. George Patterson stood on the deck of the orbital shuttle, watching Earth grow smaller beneath him. As head of the orbital reclamation team, he was responsible for checking and reactivating the defense platforms that circled the planet. "Approaching Defense Platform Alpha," announced the pilot, a young woman named Kathy Davis. "Docking sequence initiated." George nodded, gathering his tools. The platform looked different from the plans he had studied before the Great Sleep. Its sleek design showed the improvements made by the autonomous systems during humanity's absence. "The AI builders have been busy," he said as the shuttle locked onto the docking port. Inside the platform, lights activated automatically, sensing their presence. George connected his tablet to the main console, downloading status reports from the past 3 centuries. "Platform weaponry has been upgraded 8 times, he noted with surprise. "The energy output is 10 times what our original designs called for." Kathy whistled, impressed. No wonder the aliens kept their distance. On the surface below, Lisa Rodriguez led a team through the overgrown streets of what was once Chicago. As a historian, she documented the changes to Earth during humanity's absence. Massive trees grew through skyscrapers. Animals that had once been endangered now thrived in the urban jungle. "The buildings are still structurally sound," Lisa reported into her recorder. "The self-maintaining materials developed before the sleep performed beyond expectations." Her assistant, Ben Howard, called out from inside a partially collapsed building. "Lisa, you need to see this." She hurried over, ducking under vines that hung from the ceiling. Ben stood in what had once been an office, pointing at a wall that had slid open to reveal a hidden room. "The room opened when I accessed this terminal," he explained. "It was waiting for human input." Inside the hidden space, they found racks of data storage devices and a single message displayed on a screen. "For when humanity returns." Lisa carefully collected the devices. "These were left by the last generation," she said softly. "Messages and knowledge they wanted preserved." Meanwhile, in the ruins of Seattle, Alan Murphy's engineering team made their own discovery. Beneath the city, they found a massive underground facility that wasn't on any pre-sleep maps. "The construction is recent," Alan told his team as they explored the vast space. The autonomous systems built this while we slept. The facility contained row after row of partially completed starships. Designs that were only theoretical before the sleep had been brought to life by patient machines working through the centuries. "They're beautiful," said Diane Foster, Alan's deputy. She ran her hand along the smooth hull of the nearest vessel, and far more advanced than anything we had before. Alan studied the specifications displayed on the wall screens. According to this, these ships are capable of faster-than-light travel, using principles we had only just begun to understand. Back at Revival Facility Alpha, now serving as Earth's temporary headquarters, Nancy Williams reviewed reports from teams around the world. Similar discoveries were being made everywhere: hidden caches of technology, upgraded defense systems, and messages left by their ancestors. They had a plan, she told Kevin Miller as they sorted through the findings. They knew the flare was coming and couldn't stop it, so they prepared for what would come after. Kevin nodded, studying a global map showing revival progress. "And they left us the tools to reclaim our place in the stars." Susan Clark burst into the room, her face excited. "We've decoded some of the alien communications intercepted by our systems during the sleep. There are at least 12 distinct civilizations that have been observing Earth." She projected a star map onto the main screen, highlighting different regions in various colors. Some appear friendly, others hostile, but all of them believe humans have been active this entire time. Nancy tapped on one of the highlighted areas. "What's this one? The communications seem more frequent." "That's what we're calling the Virillion Collective," Susan explained. "They've maintained the most consistent contact. Our automated systems have been sending them regular messages for centuries. In deep space, aboard the newly commissioned exploration vessel Lazarus, Captain Olivia Bennett received a priority transmission from Earth Command. The ship had been one of the first to launch after being completed by the revival teams, its mission to patrol the outer solar system. "Change of plans, Captain," came Kevin Miller's voice. "We've detected a Virillion scout ship approaching from the Kuiper Belt. You're the closest vessel to intercept." Olivia acknowledged the order, then turned to her crew. "Adjust course to these coordinates. We're about to make humanity's first real alien contact in 4 centuries. Her first officer, John Baker, looked nervous. "Do we engage?" "We observe first," Olivia replied. "Let's see what they do when they realize actual humans are aboard this ship, not just automated responses." The Lazarus changed course, its advanced engines pushing it toward the incoming alien vessel. The ship's sensors provided the first clear images of a Virillion craft that any human had seen. It was elegant and organic in design, more like a living creature than a constructed vessel. Blue energy pulsed along its outer hull as it moved through space. "They've detected us," John reported. "They're slowing down." Olivia straightened her uniform. "Open a channel. Let's say hello." Back on Earth, Lisa Rodriguez's team had begun analyzing the data storage devices found in Chicago. They contained detailed records of humanity's final years before the sleep, including information about alien civilizations they had encountered. "Look at this," Lisa said, pointing to a file labeled First Contact Protocols. "Our ancestors had already made contact with 3 different species before the flare. The information included cultural notes, language primers, and warnings about potential conflicts. Most importantly, it contained the coordinates for an interstellar communication hub that Earth's automated systems had been using to maintain the illusion of human presence." "This changes everything," Ben said. "We're not starting from scratch. We're continuing relationships that have been maintained by our AI guardians." As the sun set on the 3rd month since awakening, humanity looked to the stars with new understanding. They weren't returning to a universe that had forgotten them. They were stepping back onto a stage where their understudy had been keeping their role warm, and now it was time for the lead actors to take their places once more. The Lazarus slowed as it approached the Virillion scout ship. Captain Olivia Bennett stood on the bridge watching the alien vessel through the main view screen. Its blue energy pulses had changed rhythm, becoming faster and more erratic. "They're scanning us," John Baker reported from his station. "Their energy signature shows surprise, almost alarm. Olivia nodded. Open a visual channel. Let them see actual humans. The communications officer, Rita Gomez, worked at her console. Channel open, Captain. They can see us now. The screen flickered, and for the first time in centuries, humans laid eyes on a living Virillian. The alien had silvery skin that seemed to flow like liquid metal. Its eyes were large and completely black, set in a face that had no nose, only breathing slits along its cheeks. The Virillian made a series of clicking sounds, followed by words in broken English. Impossible. Humans, alive. Records show automated. Responses only. For 3 centuries, Olivia stepped forward. I am Captain Olivia Bennett of Earth Vessel Lazarus. Yes, we are very much alive. Our species entered protective dormancy after the great solar flare. We have recently awakened. The alien's skin rippled with what might have been emotion. This changes everything. The Council must know. Back on Earth, Daniel White prepared for his new role as head of the diplomatic corps. He had been a junior diplomat before the sleep. Now he found himself responsible for humanity's first official communication to the galaxy in centuries. This message needs to be perfect, he told his team gathered in the communication center. Clear, non-threatening, but also confident. He looked at the draft displayed on the main screen. Dear Universe, we're back. With love, humanity. Daniel nodded in approval. Simple, direct, with just the right mix of warmth and confidence. His assistant, Heather Mason, looked concerned. Some species might interpret this as a challenge, especially those who have been testing our defenses. That's exactly the balance we need, Daniel replied. We come in peace, but we're not pushovers. Our automated systems have been collecting data on every civilization that approached Earth during our absence. We know more about them than they realize. As communications were re-established with various alien civilizations, reactions varied dramatically. The Virillians expressed joy at humanity's return. The Talari Confederation sent messages of scholarly interest requesting historical records of the sleep. But the Kraxar Imperium's response was cold and threatening. They've been slowly taking over our former colony worlds, explained Grace Martinez, newly appointed intelligence director. She showed the gathered leadership a map of star systems. They thought no one would notice because they've only dealt with our automated responses. Linda Harris, chief of Earth's Defense Forces, studied the map with a frown. How close have they gotten to our home system? Too close, Grace replied. Their forward bases are only 12 light years out, but they now face a dilemma. Retreat or declare war on a species they thought was managed by machines. Linda turned to a control panel and entered a series of commands. Then it's time to show them we're not as vulnerable as they might hope. On screens around the room, a simulation appeared showing a massive energy field expanding from Earth, growing until it encompassed the entire solar system. The Sol System Shield, Linda explained. Developed and built by our autonomous systems while we slept. It can block any known form of weapons fire or intrusion. We can extend it to cover our entire system within minutes if needed. As tensions rose with the Kraxar, a different kind of challenge emerged with more peaceful contact. Eleanor Grant, a talented xenolinguist, faced the difficult task of understanding how alien cultures had changed during humanity's absence. She sat in her office surrounded by screens displaying alien language patterns. It's fascinating, she told her colleague Peter Walsh. During our absence, humans became almost mythological to some species. The Talari teach their children that we were wise ancients who ascended to another plane of existence. Peter laughed. If only they knew we're just taking a very long nap. It's more complicated than that, Eleanor replied. The Jacks believe we're vengeful spirits who punish those who trespass in our territory. The Virillians thought our automated responses were from digital echoes of dead minds. Each species created their own story to explain our situation, Peter's smile faded. That could make actual diplomacy difficult. How do you negotiate with someone who thinks you're a ghost or a god? Eleanor turned to a new screen showing translation software. Very carefully. And with complete honesty about who and what we really are. On the edge of the solar system, the confrontation between the Lazarus and the Virillian scout had evolved into a careful exchange of information. The Virillian, who identified himself as Navigator Zills, seemed both fascinated and disturbed by the humans. For generations we received signals from Earth, Zills explained through the translator. Trade agreements, cultural exchanges, warning, boys, all seemed normal if limited. We never suspected that you were talking to machines, Olivia finished for him. They were programmed to maintain the illusion of our continued activity while protecting our sleeping forms. Zill's skin rippled again. Your artificial intelligence systems are remarkably sophisticated to maintain such a deception for centuries. They weren't just maintaining, John Baker added. They were learning and building, preparing for our return. The Virillian's black eyes seemed to widen. The technological advances we detected from your system in recent years, they weren't your doing? Olivia smiled. Not directly, but they are ours now. As the Lazarus continued its careful diplomatic dance with the Virillian scout, a Kraxar battle group moved closer to the edge of human space. Their heavily armed vessels took positions just outside the reach of Earth's most distant sensors. Back on Earth, Linda Harris received the report of their movement and called an emergency meeting. The Kraxar are testing us, she told the assembled leaders. They want to see how we'll respond to a show of force. Daniel White considered the options. We need to demonstrate our capabilities without starting a war. A clear message that we're not to be trifled with. I have something in mind, Linda replied. Her fingers danced across the control panel, bringing up schematics for a device labeled Gravitational Anchor. Another gift from our AI caretakers, she explained. It can temporarily neutralize the propulsion systems of any vessel within its field while causing no permanent damage. Kevin Miller nodded in approval. A perfect demonstration. Shows strength without aggression. As orders went out to deploy the device, humanity prepared for its first real test since awakening. Their ancestors had left them with advanced technology and a complex galactic situation to navigate. The universe was about to discover that humans weren't just back. They had returned stronger and smarter than ever before. 6 months after humanity's return announcement, Paul Foster prepared for his first appearance at the Galactic Conclave. As Earth's newly appointed ambassador, he had spent weeks studying the protocols and customs of the more than 200 species that would be present. Remember, no sudden movements around the Hazari delegates, advised Carol Wilson, his expert in interspecies psychology. They interpret quick gestures as threats. Paul nodded, adjusting the formal diplomatic uniform that had been designed based on pre-sleep records. And the Jackson representatives prefer to be addressed in order of age, correct? Oldest to youngest, Carol confirmed. They see it as deeply disrespectful to speak to the younger members before acknowledging the elders. Their shuttle approached the massive space station that served as neutral territory for galactic diplomacy. The structure was a wonder of engineering, a spinning wheel over 20 miles in diameter, with sections tailored to the environmental needs of hundreds of different species. As they docked, Paul took a deep breath. How are they likely to receive us? Carol's expression was serious. Honestly, with everything from worship to hostility. During our absence, humanity has become mythologized. Some species view us as ancient wise ones, others as dangerous, unpredictable savages. Most simply find our return from apparent extinction unsettling. When the airlock opened, they were greeted by a delegation of Virillians led by senior diplomat Zilzan, related to the navigator Zills who had first encountered the Lazarus. Welcome, Ambassador Foster, Zilzan said in perfect English. The conclave awaits. Many have traveled great distances to witness humanity's official return. Paul and his team followed the Virillians through the station's grand corridors. Representatives of dozens of species stopped to stare as they passed. Some made gestures that Carol quietly identified as signs of respect or blessing. Others moved away, clearly uncomfortable. The main chamber of the conclave was a vast amphitheater with seating, arranged in concentric rings. Each section was adapted for the unique physical needs of different species. Water tanks for aquatic delegates, high-gravity sections for heavy worlders, and special atmospheric compartments for those who breathed different gas mixtures. As Paul took his place at the central podium, a hush fell over the chamber. Thousands of alien eyes focused on the human representative. Delegates of the Galactic Conclave, Paul began, his voice carried through various translation systems. Humanity is honored to rejoin the community of spacefaring civilizations. Our period of dormancy was not intended as deception but as survival. He explained the great solar flare, the choice to enter protective sleep, and the role of Earth's automated systems in maintaining their presence. As he spoke, reactions varied across the chamber. Nods of understanding from some sectors, skeptical, movements from others. We return not as conquerors but as neighbors, Paul continued. We seek peaceful cooperation and mutual benefit. From the Kraxar section came a harsh sound. Their war speaker rose, his red-scaled skin bristling with anger. Peaceful? The Kraxar demanded. Your automated defenses destroyed 3 of our scout vessels that merely approached your former colony worlds. Paul remained calm. Worlds that remain under Earth's protection, despite our absence. Worlds your forces attempted to claim, believing no one would notice. Before the exchange could escalate, alarms blared throughout the station. The main display screen activated, showing a Kraxar battle group moving aggressively toward a human outpost near the border of their territories. The Kraxar war speaker smiled, showing rows of pointed teeth. Perhaps a demonstration of our resolve, while you talk of peace. On Earth, in the Defense Command Center, Linda Harris received the alert. The Kraxar are making their move, she told the gathered leadership. Their timing is deliberate, challenging us while our ambassador speaks. At the conclave, Kevin Miller nodded grimly. They want to embarrass us. Show the galaxy that our words of peace are empty. Then let's show them something else instead, Linda replied. She opened a secure channel to Joseph Edwards, tactical commander of Earth's defense fleet positioned near the outpost. Commander Edwards, you are authorized to deploy the gravitational anchor. In space near the outpost, the human defensive ships held position as the Kraxar fleet approached. Commander Edwards watched the enemy vessels on his tactical display, their weapons charging. Deploy the anchor, he ordered. From the lead human vessel, a small probe launched toward the center of the Kraxar formation. It looked insignificant against the massive battleships, which ignored it as they continued their advance. The probe reached its destination and activated. A ripple of distorted space spread outward like a wave, washing over the Kraxar ships. Instantly, their engines sputtered and died. The mighty warships drifted helplessly in space, their momentum arrested by the gravitational field. Back at the conclave, the display showed the entire encounter. The assembled delegates watched in stunned silence as the aggressive Kraxar fleet was neutralized without a single shot being fired. Paul looked directly at the Kraxar war speaker. As you can see, we could have destroyed your vessels. Instead, we chose restraint. The effect is temporary. Your ships will regain power once they reverse course. The Kraxar representative sank back into his seat, scales flattening in what Carol recognized as a sign of submission. Meanwhile, back on Earth, Grace Martinez shared her latest findings with the Leadership Council. The automated systems that maintained our ghost presence did more than we realized, she explained. They've been collecting data on every alien civilization that interacted with Earth's automated responses. We now have the most comprehensive intelligence network in the galaxy. She displayed star charts showing trade routes, military deployments, and political alliances across dozens of civilizations. Most of these species don't realize how much information they freely shared with what they thought were simple automated systems. Nancy Williams shook her head in amazement. Our ancestors built the machines to protect us physically. I don't think they realized they were creating the greatest intelligence-gathering operation in history. This information gives us a unique advantage, Kevin noted. We understand the galaxy better than anyone else in it. As the conclave session ended, Paul and his team were approached by representatives from 17 different species, all seeking private discussions with the returned humans. The demonstration against the Kraxar had changed the tone dramatically. You've made quite an impression, Carol whispered to Paul as they moved to the first meeting. Paul nodded. Fear isn't what we want, but respect will do for now. The real work begins here. As delegates from across the galaxy lined up to speak with humanity's representatives, the message was clear. Earth had returned not as a forgotten relic of history, but as a power to be reckoned with. And the universe was paying very close attention. 1 year after humanity's awakening, Earth prepared to host the first Resurrection Summit. The once overgrown ruins of what had been New York City now contained a gleaming new structure designed specifically for the historic gathering. The summit hall rose from the shore of Manhattan Island, its crystal spires reaching toward the sky like fingers of hope. Mary Wright, Earth's president, stood at the window of her office overlooking the final preparations. Ships from over 150 alien civilizations orbited Earth, their delegates shuttling down to the surface. For many, it was their first time setting foot on the legendary human homeworld. "Are we ready for this?" she asked her chief advisor, William Brooks. "As ready as we'll ever be," William replied. "The security systems are fully operational. The translation matrices have been updated with all known languages. The environmental chambers for non-oxygen breathers are stable." Mary nodded, adjusting her formal attire. As Earth's first post-sleep leader, she carried the weight of humanity's future on her shoulders. The decisions made at this summit would shape their place in the galaxy for generations to come. In the main reception area, Paul Foster greeted arriving delegates. The success of his mission at the Galactic Conclave had earned him a permanent position as Earth's chief diplomat. Beside him stood Carol Wilson, who whispered cultural notes about each species as they arrived. "The Jax delegation is approaching," Carol murmured. "Remember, they communicate partially through color changes in their skin. Blue tones indicate respect." Paul nodded slightly, then extended his hands, palms up in the traditional Jax greeting. The tall, thin aliens with translucent skin rippled with pleasant blue patterns as they returned the gesture. Across the hall, Lisa Rodriguez guided a group of Talari scholars through an exhibition of human history. As Earth's official historian, she had created displays showing humanity's journey from pre-sleep civilization through their awakening. "This is remarkable," the lead Talari said, his 4 eyes blinking independently as he studied the exhibits. "Your species faced extinction and chose dormancy instead. Such foresight," Lisa smiled. "We're stubborn that way. Our ancestors refused to let the flare be the end of our story." In the technology pavilion, Samuel Thompson prepared for the summit's main event. The brilliant scientist had spent months studying the advancements created by Earth's autonomous systems. Now he would reveal the most significant of these developments to the gathered representatives of the galaxy. "Nervous?" asked his assistant Valerie Reed as she checked the demonstration equipment one final time. "Terrified," Samuel admitted with a smile. "But excited too. What we're about to share will change everything." The harmonization project was more than just advanced technology. During humanity's absence, their autonomous systems had not only protected Earth and advanced human technology, but had been working on solutions to major galactic problems. The sleeping humans had unknowingly become the authors of innovations that could benefit all spacefaring civilizations. As the main conference chamber filled with delegates, Mary Wright took her place at the central podium. Cameras transmitted the proceedings to billions of viewers across thousands of worlds. It was humanity's moment to define their place in the cosmic community. "Distinguished representatives," Mary began, her voice clear and strong. "1 year ago, humanity returned from our long sleep to find a universe both familiar and strange. Today we gather not just to celebrate our resurrection, but to build a shared future." She spoke of the challenges Earth had faced, the wonder of rediscovering their place among the stars, and the lessons learned during their absence. As she talked, delegates from across the galaxy listened with varying degrees of interest, skepticism, and hope. "We recognize that our return has created uncertainty," Mary continued. "Some feared what our awakening might mean. Others hoped for new opportunities. Today, we offer clarity about our intentions." She gestured to Samuel Thompson, who stepped forward with his team. On the massive display screen behind them appeared schematics for revolutionary technologies, renewable energy systems that harmed no worlds, faster-than-light travel improvements that reduced fuel consumption by 80%, terraforming methods that could restore damaged planets. The harmonization project, Samuel explained, represents centuries of work by our autonomous systems. They analyze data from across the galaxy, identifying common problems faced by all civilizations. Then they develop solutions designed to benefit everyone, not just humanity. The chamber grew silent as the implications became clear. Earth was offering technologies that could end resource wars, heal damaged worlds, and unite divided species. These advances are not offered as charity, Mary clarified. They come with one condition. The tension in the room grew palpable. Many delegates shifted nervously, expecting demands for territory or resources in exchange. Peace, Mary said simply. We offer these technologies freely to any civilization that signs the Comprehensive Peace Accord. On the screen, the proposed treaty appeared, a framework for ending the dozen major conflicts currently raging across the galaxy. It required disarmament of planet-killing weapons, respect for territorial boundaries, and cooperation on issues affecting all species. In the Kraxar section, the war speaker made a harsh sound of protest. You demand we surrender our military advantage? We invite you to help create a galaxy where such advantages are unnecessary, Paul Foster replied smoothly. As discussions erupted throughout the chamber, Admiral Olivia Bennett watched from the sidelines. Her exploration fleet was prepared for its first mission beyond human space, ready to journey farther than any human ship had traveled before. Think they'll sign? Asked her first officer, John Baker. Some will, Olivia replied. Others will hold out hoping to develop similar technologies themselves, but they'll come around eventually. John raised an eyebrow. How can you be so sure? Olivia smiled. Because we're offering solutions to problems they've struggled with for generations. Pride only holds out so long against practicality. As the summit continued into the evening, smaller meetings broke out across the complex. Species that had been at war for centuries found themselves sitting at the same table, drawn together by the promise of Earth's innovations. Nancy Williams, the engineer who had first awakened from the great sleep, stood on the observation deck, watching ships move in orbit above Earth. In her hand was a small capsule, a message left by her ancestors, finally opened after completing her mission to revive humanity. The message was simple, just one line. We slept so you could dream bigger. And as representatives from across the galaxy debated the future made possible by humanity's return, that dream was becoming reality. Earth had re-emerged, not with threats or demands, but with solutions. Their message to the universe wasn't about power or vengeance, but possibility. Dear universe, we're back. With love, humanity.